Hey, what's up, Silver Stackers? Thank you for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. What makes me more frustrated than anything else is when people post articles that are not transparent, especially as they post their opinions as fact, missing a lot of context, purposely not mentioning the context, and going off their own narrative as if it's true. This is an article titled Five Reasons Why Silver's Price is Not Higher. It's from StoneX. Now, I'm gonna try my best to be as nice as possible. Try to be a gentleman. Try to be respectful to this person because she does make some good points that I'll break into, but there's just some things she mentions and doesn't mention about silver's price. For example, the manipulative side of things, acting like silver's price is just down because it's a bad investment, or just because odds are against it, or that, like she says, there's a ample supply of silver. It's wrong. It's wrong. And I would love to hear where she gets this data from, because to say that the LBMA silver vaults provide an ample silver supply is something that I don't know what planet she lives on, but it's not Earth. It's not Earth, because if she looked even the slightest bit into it, even from what the LBMA said themselves publicly a couple weeks ago, mentioning they have no silver and the COMEX. So mixing this with StoneX also saying that silver is a Cinderella metal, and that these people are just exaggerating silver's potential, it's just wrong. So I'm gonna dive into this article. She does bring some good points, though, some good points, but I just really want to give context to this type of stuff. Because imagine someone who doesn't watch my channel, or doesn't watch, silver stacking channels that show the actual data, that just listen to people who say stuff without having any proof or any backing behind what they're saying. That could be dangerous, right? To go around thinking that there's an ample supply of silver in these vaults. And the main thing that frustrates me is that she's not bringing up the main reasons why silver isn't higher. To say that silver's price isn't higher because there's plenty of silver, not to bring up the manipulation part of things, or the COMEX, the digital versus the physical market, that's very misleading. It's very, very misleading. And I don't know if she truly doesn't believe in manipulation, or truly believes that there's plenty of silver, just going against the data shown from the Silver Institute, the LBMA, and the COMEX themselves. I don't know. I don't know. All I'm gonna do is just try to break down this article, see, get a feel for where she's coming from, and link to this article be in the description. Let's jump into it. So this is from Kitco News. In response to the confusion around what's going on with silver prices, StoneX held a silver webinar describing the precious metal as a Cinderella metal and giving 5 reasons why its price is not higher. And it's funny because, on pen and paper, silver's price should be triple digits, but it's not. Something is missing. There's a variable that's missing. We all know what that variable is. And to say that, and even, when Andy Scheckman and I had our podcast last week, has like 100,000 views already. Andy filled a $50 million order of silver in 2 days, 900,000 eagles. He is someone that can access ample supply amounts of silver. But even he said he has never seen the market this scarce since 2008. He compared it to. He cannot even get his hands on silver. And by the way, you should purchase from them. Send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Silver Slayer sent you. One of the only few authorized dealers that could still work with the U.S. Mint. Regardless, though, even he said this, right? And he does go into, we both are very deep into the silver supply deficit, the shortage. And, to say, to discredit everyone, even the companies themselves, and just act like there's, it gets under my skin. So yes, there are people out there that truly believe there's plenty of silver left, and the markets are fair, and there's no corruption, and the paper contracts versus the physical amount of silver is equal, and nothing wrong is going on behind the scenes. So anyways, and to say that, and then to just say that silver's price is low because of these reasons, is just Yeah, so let's jump into this. In response to the confusion around what's going on with silver prices, StoneX held a silver webinar describing the precious metal as a Cinderella metal and giving 5 reasons why its price is not higher. So the Cinderella metal, I'm assuming they're just saying over glamorizing it, making it seem like silver has all this potential, which it really does. I mean, I could list 20 different reasons why silver's a ticking time bomb, and I'm not just saying that. And I don't know. I'm gonna shut up. I know I have a lot of stuff I want to break off of to what they're saying, but I'm just gonna get through the article and then I'll then I'll give my 2 cents. So according to some estimates, silver prices should have seen a bigger rally this year due to the vibrant global coin demand and the recovery in India's physical demand. So why isn't it the case? StoneX listed 5 reasons. Now, I'm sure some of these reasons, maybe even all of them, have some to do, but very little pull on what's actually happening behind the scenes, right? To not even bring up manipulation in this and to say, okay, I'll stop. I know I keep branching off, but it's just, I have to clear the air and give context behind what she's saying. But, anyways, let's just keep moving on. StoneX listed 5 reasons. So, one, gold's performance. Gold and silver are directly correlated, but silver is starting to take on a life of its own. It is funny how gold and silver prices are so similar when they're used for 2 completely different things, but there's also a reason why my name is Silver Slayer and not Gold Slayer. I didn't just pick that, that word out of a hat. Professional disinterest. ETP and CFTC holdings are down. Number 3, LBMA silver vaults provide an ample silver supply. We already know. I'm not going to go into that one. The physical market's much smaller than the professional market. And yeah, that she just gave the best case of why the price is low. It's very easy to manipulate the price of silver since it's such a small market. And quote unquote the professional market, the big players behind the scenes, since silver is a direct threat to the US dollar, since the government doesn't want people putting their fake money, fiat, into real money, silver and gold, because then that takes the power away from them and puts it into your own hands. You could see why they would try to suppress gold and silver, and for many other reasons, but that's just a very obvious one. When you put your money in silver, you are in complete control. Do you think the feds want that? Do you want you to have the control? No. I mean, regardless though, silver markets are easily manipulated, and that's why usually JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, the Dutch bank, these big banks, they manipulate silver more than gold. It's easier to suppress the price. Number 5, spot price does not respond at the grassroots level, but local premium, I'm sure she means premiums, do. And yes, that's another case for manipulation. Low supply, high demand pushes the price up. Maybe not spot price, but the premiums, the price you have to actually pay out of pocket, right? And it's not the spot price because of the manipulation, right? I mean, if silver went off fundamentals and even take out speculation, the price would be 16 to 1 compared to gold, maybe even 8 to 1, because that's the ratio it comes out of the ground. That was the quote unquote natural ratio. That was the natural price equivalence between those two metals until 1930. FDR got in office, changed the gold to silver ratio from 16 to 1 to 75 to 1, single-handedly devaluing silver, and then it was a man-made manipulation ever since then. Regardless, though, you can't look at it that technically when there's so much other stuff going on, and to not mention that is very misleading. So here's their example. For example, StoneX said, exchange traded products, ETP holdings are down more than 4,000 tons year to date, to just under 24,000 tons. COMEX inventories are down to just under 9,700 tons from 11,000. Rhonda O'Connell, head of the market and analysis for EMEA and Asia at StoneX, pointed out. And if you add a reduction in LBMA holdings, which is 9,000 tons this year, it comes to 414,500 tons, equivalent to 22 weeks of global industrial demand. Okay. So that is even more towards our point. The LBMA and COMEX vaults are at record-breaking lows, and the demand for silver is increasing faster than ever. I mean, solar panels alone increased 15% this year. Imagine in 3 4 years. Imagine what EV, what the EV sector would be in 5 years from now. So as inventories are plummeting but demand is skyrocketing, and then to say there's an ample silver supply, I just don't get it. It's contradicting. She contradicted herself. I mean, in principle, it looks like the market's being well fed by these reductions, and that would be one of the reasons why the spot price hasn't moved when compared to the reports of a very strong physical demand. Maybe that, okay, so here's where, okay, see, I'm not going to always try to just argue. I'm coming from an unbiased perspective. I try to. If she makes a good point and it goes of why silver should be low or is low, I'm not just going to say no, she's wrong because I'm thinking silver is going to be higher. I don't ever want to push that type of narrative or break down information like that. See, silver still can stay low right now, and honestly, I don't talk about silver exploding anytime soon. I say by the year 2025, 2026, right? I agree on some points of where the demand hasn't had that true takeoff yet, where the silver shortage could still be swept under the rug. She could still say there's an ample supply and get away with it. But by the year 2025, 2026, I think we'll be deep enough into the Green New Deal. I think we'll be deep enough into all these automobile companies switching over to electric. I think we'll be deep enough into solar panels flooding the globe, and especially given the industrial sector, not just the investment sector, not just coin demand that she compared it to, coin demand. Um, that's when the reality will hit, where these companies say, yo, we need lots of silver and there is not enough. And something has to happen because we cannot keep up production. We literally cannot convert every automobile company to an electric vehicle by the year 2030 like they said. We can't pull silver out of thin air, right? It's like they're pretending like we're just going to randomly find all the silver on the way, but in reality, when you look at it realistically, that cannot happen. It will not happen. And I think by the year 2025, people will realize that will not happen, and then silver's true value will come out. Right now, we're too early on. We just started, and we're already having a hard time keeping up with demand. We just started. So yes, right now, this could still work. This whole business model they have going on can still work, but it won't for too much longer. And I like how she said in principle. We're not going off, I mean, we're far beyond principles. If we were just going off principles, silver's price would be tripled. Positioning in the silver market has also played an important role. COMEX silver has seen short covering. At the start of September, the outright short within the managed money component was 9,420 tons, and that's the largest since July 2019. It's contracted over the month to 6,814, she noted. There's still reasonably substantial, or that's still reasonably substantial because the average over the previous 12 months was 5,204. There's more short covering to go if we're thinking about reverting to the mean. O'Connell also added that a large net short does not necessarily lead to a strong short covering rally. Next year, StoneX expects markedly higher gold and silver prices than the current trading levels, but it does not see the gold to silver ratio returning to its long-standing average of 60. And then going on to say that the current ratio, which implies how many silver ounces are required to buy 1 ounce of gold, is at 88 at the time of writing. And yeah, I mean, you're not going to see the ratio go from 88 to 60 overnight. It's going to take some time. It needs to. If silver just caught up to gold in a couple of months, silver's price would crash. It's extreme overbought territory. You never want to see a market just go up, 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 up without any price stability, or it's going to crash. It's going to correct. Just like when it went up to 125 to 1 in March, it didn't stay there very long because that was extreme overbought territory for gold. Gold broke above $2,000 an ounce while silver was still at 26, right? Gold didn't it didn't build any stability going up that high. It just kind of happened. Just like Bitcoin in 2016, 2017, when it went from like $1,500 to $18,000 in a couple of months, it crashed and it took years. It took years to recover because there was no price stability in between. So you don't want it to just go to 60 from 88 to 60 overnight. And like she says, it's a long way from 60. It's very difficult to foresee the circumstances in which we will see a reversion to the mean. I mean, yeah, it's literally impossible because we don't have a crystal ball. You know, we don't. Anything could happen. We're living in crazy times, so expect crazy things to happen. The unknown variable is the most important. A lot of people try to predict, oh, it's silver's going to do this in the next year, or gold's going to do this, but nobody knows. Look, every single week something new comes out that throws a curveball and the markets get all in shambles. Imagine in 6 months how much different the markets are going to be. So there's no point in even trying to say, oh, this is probably what's going to happen. You're just going to end up sounding silly afterwards, and that statement is not going to age well. Look at all the price forecasts from last year and what they're predicting is going to happen. I mean, it's they make themselves look silly. If silver really is the Cinderella metal, then the wicked stepmother and the younger stepsister are the world economy and the U.S. dollar, joked, said O'Connell. Let's reread this. So if Cinderella or silver's a Cinderella metal, the wicked stepmother and the younger sisters are the world economy and the U.S. dollar. Which, yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a lot of truth in that, but there's also a lot of corrupt. I mean, I don't even know what that point is. Let's see what they say after. The question is, how many times has silver left at midnight, and how many times is there a happy ending? That's the point. Are they really? This is crazy. This is crazy to try to just compare historically that yes, silver tries to escape, but there's never a happy ending. I mean, that is insane. That means you're comparing the economy to something that's always been, not incorporating the collapse of the dollar, lost 98%, trillions and trillions added more, not incorporating the silver shortage getting worse, not incorporating any of that, not incorporating the reality that we're switching to a digital coin that could be probably is going to be backed by physical commodities, not incorporating the BRICS nation, just pretending that everything's going to stay the same and that silver is just always going to get the short end of the stick, given the fact that precious metals are the only thing that holds its value. Try to say this statement 5,000 years ago. Try to say it 1,000 years later. Silver is the only thing that has a happy ending. Put $5,000 of your money in silver. Put another 5,000 in your bank account. Which one's going to have the happy ending? That $5,000 in silver is going to hold its value. How could you say that? See, I didn't even think it was that silly. I don't want to say the actual word I'm thinking of. It starts with an S. It's not silly though, but same amount of letters I think. But regardless, to say, okay, so let's look at it like this. Let's look at it like this. I thought he was saying that silver's the Cinderella metal because it's all glamorous and everyone's hopping on the silver train. I didn't think that he actually meant from the story, that narrative, that there's never that is insane. O'Connell pointed out silver can be very volatile, and yes, it's a small market, right? More opportunity, but also there's a lot more risk. I call it gold on steroids. Regardless, investors need to be prepared for lots of excitement that could end with a plunge back to where the metal started or even lower. Who cares? You're putting fake money into real money. And yeah, it'll go back to where it started even lower, but that doesn't matter unless you're going to sell. It goes up and down, up and down. It's going to go up to 30 and goes back down to 25. And then goes up to 35 and then goes down to 25. Yeah, you're going to go back to where you started, but then you keep holding and then it goes up to above where you started. I mean, if you're a new investor, maybe that's something you should be paying attention to, but as a true silver stacker looks at this like, what? In 2022, silver supply will return to a surplus because of the redemption in ETFs. Do you think that's a real do you think that statement is going to hold its weight, pun intended? We're currently looking at a surplus of about 2,200 tons this year, just under the equivalent of 3 weeks. In 2021, Mexico, China, Peru, top 3 silver producers by country, accounting for 51%. Yes, Mexico and Peru, those two countries alone. And let's see his point. Okay, that what is that supposed to mean? Mexico, China, and Peru, top 3. Yes, that's a fact. That's a fact. But what point is that making? That makes no point. Also, total cash costs for primary silver mines were $3.88 an ounce, while an all-in sustaining costs were $10.88. In comparison, the average silver price year to date is $21.86 under normal circumstances. Silver supply is continuous and relentless. Silver supply is he incorporating anything that the silver supply that's continuous is being used for? I mean, considering that most silver's thrown away, considering that we're advancing very fast digitally, technologically, and that it's going to take more and more and more silver. I mean, this is insane. And I wish I wasn't exaggerating. I wish I could be like, I get what he's saying, but he's leaving out so much context. Like there's so much more that needs to be said under what he's saying. He's not saying anything. Like he's saying something, but not going into what he's saying and how it could contradict himself. I mean, at least when I try to say something, I'll try to look at all different points. Like yes, we're trying to work on recycling, right? Silver recycling is ramping up, which could try to help the amount of silver staying in circulation. Or they're trying to cut down the amount of silver in each electric vehicle. It's like 58 grams, trying to cut it down to 20 something. That could help. Do I think it's going to be enough? No, but there's other variables that are trying to fix the problem. Even scientists found a way to scrap silver out of the solar panels or the solar circuits, and even maybe replace it with copper. Do I think that's going to put a dent in the problem? No, but I'm looking at all sides. I'm looking at all information and taking it into consideration. He hasn't even brought up manipulation. He hasn't brought up the digital era, the amount of silver we're going to need moving forwards. He's just saying a point and just saying it. In terms of future predictions, or no, here we go. India is one of the reasons why many expected silver's price to be much higher. Since May, there have been strong flows into the country. The revival was the release of pent-up demand following an awful 2020 and 2021. One leading importer has reported that Indian investors are looking for silver in its role as poor man's gold, expecting silver's price to outperform. And that's a good thing, and it is, and its price will outperform gold dramatically. Gold has no place in the new digital era. Gold is used for coins and jewelry and bars. It just sits around. Gold is valuable because it's shiny, basically. A little bit of gold in cell phones and stuff, yeah, I know. Silver, though, on the other hand, has a massive opportunity as we advance because we need it for everything. Gold, we don't really need in technology. So, yes, silver will outperform gold. It will. That's not an if, it's a when. Silver is predominantly driven by gold, which is driven by the US dollar, which, by the way, won't be driven by gold because it's taking a life of its own, driven by the dollar, which the dollar is collapsing. I mean, this guy, it sounds like this guy is like coming from, obviously, and it's crazy that this guy, I think he's the CEO of StoneX. I don't even know. I'm done with this. Okay, in terms of future predictions, StoneX sees silver keeping its close relationship with gold and copper. Central banks likely aware of this. Financial stability regarding emerging market. I mean, I'm done. I'm done. I'm curious if I was just being biased. Was I acting irrational? Was I thinking irrationally? Was I biased on this, or was I unbiased? Let me know. Were my points valid, or were these points good? Am I just crazy? Let me know. I might just be crazy. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and these 5 points are exactly spot on, and there's ample amounts of silver. Um, I don't know. Let me know. I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.